I'm going to offer my condolences.
I'm on my way. I'll be there in a minute.
Alrighty. What?
So,
No, he's coming here. Legs. Yeah, instead can make it so that the trustees on Zoom can attend a closed executive session. We're gonna be delayed for just another moment. So we can get an answer. when we're ready for the closed session.
so are we done? Executive session?
Yeah, what it's gonna do is take the place of the. Where is it here?
10 Bravo.
10 B, yeah. So everyone's gonna make a motion to replace it with an executive discussion. Executive session. So we will move the executive session to after, yeah, at the end of the meeting. Yeah, so Scott's here. Scott's here.
He's here?
He's here.
Oh,
Oh, that's good. This is gonna be hard.
We have his,
Do it first.
I thought he was doing Zoom.
You're fine.
We have another minute.
Welcome, Scott.
Matt, do you want to talk to him or do you just want to proceed? It'll be another two minutes or so.
There's no request to be public, so it can be executive session.
Okay, all right. All right, I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees for August 12th, 2020 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the acting town clerk please call roll?
Trustee Wakeman,
Here.
trustee Trailer,
Did you say my name?
yes,
Here.
ma'am.
Here.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Here.
trustee Grandquist,
Here.
trustee Smith,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Here.
Mayor Austin.
Here. Thank you. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, I got one change. Need to move the discussion item on 10B, discussion and scope of investigation to an executive session. Section 24-6-4024F of the Colorado Revised Statutes for the purpose of considering personnel matter.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Acting town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Trailer, trustee Trailer,
Sorry, I was asking a question. Am I allowed to attend if I'm on video to an executive session?
Yeah.
There's no way to cut out the public and just have.
Security court also.
Can she call in?
Can we initiate a new Zoom with just her?
At the end?
Or could she just call? I think that's
We could just mute the mics going out and then she could call into somebody, does that work? Where are we putting the executive session? Is it in the
Oh,
exact
sorry,
place?
it'd be after the
It'll be the last.
police report,
Yeah,
Okay.
It'll go to the end.
So it'd be at the end anyhow.
into the agenda.
Yes.
What's easier for you, Steve?
It's gonna be messy because they're also recording live streaming, so we're gonna have to kill it.
But if we do it at the end, does that make your life easier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, she can attend.
sorry.
Okay.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Did she vote?
trustee Wakeman,
I didn't hear her vote.
oh, I'm sorry,
No, trustee Trailer.
trustee Trailer,
So how am I attending again? Because I can't hardly hear you anyway.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Right now, yeah.
Okay, so at the end of the meeting, we'll cut this Zoom and reinitiate. So there'll be a dedicated Zoom for the executive session. Is that correct?
Yes, we'll have to send her the,
Yeah, you'll get a new invite. Did you hear all that?
Yeah. I'm gonna say no.
okay.
Okay.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Grandquist,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
No.
trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes,
and Mayor Austin.
Yes. Okay. Citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens' comments tonight? Anybody that wants to get it? Okay, let me go ahead and read about citizens' comments. Citizens' comment is a point in a meeting where public is invited to address the town board on any items except agenda items for which there is a public hearing. Public comment on public hearing items will occur during the scheduled public hearing. All comments should be directed to the town board, and there is a 3-minute limit per speaker. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. Sure.
I'm gonna just pass
I
them
have an
down.
extra one, those, Dan.
I'm Lois Honorado, 340 Heidi Lane. We have some property that we're going to sell, and the last Hillsborough, well, it's the old grocery store and the post office. And we are going to be selling that property, and we want the town to have that building if you'll move it down here. And so talk about it. But we gave it to the town once before, but they didn't want it. It was one person, but anyway, you know, that's a nice place out there. And I hate to see that. It's the very last building of Hillsborough. And, but we're willing to give it to you. It does need a little repair, but don't they all? I think that was built in 1886 or 96. So it's had a few years on it. When we bought that place, I think it was in 1972, we paid $12,500 for that. And there's 2 acres there, you know, it's really nice. We had a lot of horses and peacocks and ducks and rabbits and everything out there. And, but it's nice. And also, I want to tell you the picture you got, Ralph Lynch, that he was from Milliken and he was a real artist. So I wanted you all to have one of those. But if you look up here, that's what it looks like. So see, it just needs a little repair. I don't think it'd take much, you know. And but anyway, that's what we would like for the town to do, and maybe move it down by the, you know, museum. So think about it and say yes.
Los Ann?
What?
How much time do we have?
Oh, as long as it's taken us to clean out there, probably another year, but no, it won't be a year. It's empty because we have got that empty. So you could, if you want, you can move it, you know. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but we don't have to decide
Not tomorrow.
fast. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And the-
thanks.
I have another question for you before you leave. Is there already a spot that you kind of have in mind for it over here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
we do. We don't know about the board, you know, but we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, citizens' comments are closed. And is there any discussion or comments on the meeting minutes of July 22nd, 2020?
Yes, Mayor. I just request, my first name is spelled incorrectly in the first paragraph, just to change that piece of it.
Okay. Any other changes?
Yeah, on the very end, on the request for direction on the attorney client letter, Trustee Wakeman doesn't have a yes or no vote beside her name. She did vote yes.
Thanks for catching that, Mayor.
Okay, that's 2 corrections. Any others? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve July 22nd meeting notes with the corrections noted.
Second.
Acting Town Clerk, please take a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
trustee Grandquist,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Trailer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, is there?
Yes, by the way, you can call my name.
Oh my goodness. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Is there any discussion or comments on the corrected minutes of June 29th, 2020? Hearing none, I'll take a motion. Unless you have something.
I do have something. I'm not sure that it actually has to do with the change to the minutes, but looking at the article that was in the Johnstown Breeze and what our general discussion was that night, I think we very much are leading the public to believe that this was a 30-day leave of absence. And it concerns me that we're giving one message to the public. It was discussed at that time, and we're not following what that discussion was that night.
I believe Cheryl Powell went back and listened to the video, and it did not say 30 days.
I understood that from Cheryl also, and thank you, Cheryl, for spending the time doing that. But it definitely was part of the discussion that night that it was a 30-day leave of absence. And it's the way that it's been reported in the Johnstown Breeze. And so it's what the public thinks that we were doing. And I don't have any answer to what I'm saying, but I think we need to note that we're definitely giving mixed messages to the public on what's happening here.
Where do you think the Johnstown Breeze picked up the 30 days?
I don't know either, but it says it.
It was just a comment to me, and so I went back and listened. Actually, I listened twice and had somebody else listen just in case I missed it, because it was such an emotional meeting.
Yes.
And so all I wanted was to make sure that what we put in the minutes was actually what was said,
Mhm.
and to the best of our ability. And that was the only reason why. And it was only because somebody made a comment to me about it.
Mhm. I feel like I left here that night thinking we were doing 30 days, which doesn't really make sense when you're doing an investigation, but it must have been a good portion of our discussion that night, because I left feeling that way, and it's the way the paper picked it up.
I think perhaps maybe what, and I understand what you're saying, perhaps that was just the scope of the investigation they figured it could take up to. But I agree, you don't want to send mixed messages. I was just trying to ensure that our minutes were correct.
Yeah, and I'm not finding fault with you at all, Cheryl, on it. I'm just saying we need to be on our toes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other commentary? I'll take a motion to approve the corrected minutes of June 29th, 2020.
I move to approve June 29th, 2020 corrected minutes.
I'll second that.
Acting Town Clerk, please take a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
trustee Grandquist,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Trailer,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Before we go into the town administrator's report,
Hang on. Did you guys vote on the agenda approval?
They did. That is when Leron made a change to
Sorry.
okay.
the agenda.
Say it again.
The town of Malacan and the Board of Trustees would like to offer our condolences to trustee Scott Smith on the passing of his wife and have a moment of silence for Sandy Smith. We could all bow our heads for just a moment. Thank you.
I would like to correct for the minutes. Her name is Sandy Godby.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. She didn't want Smith. It's too common.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Please correct that to Sandy Godby. Now we can continue with the town administrator's report.
So we had a successful Beef and Bean Day. I've heard a lot of great compliments about it. I did have a few concerns prior to that date, citizens calling concerned that we were having it, but not as many as I thought I might. But it sounds like it turned out to be really well, done well. And we're almost a week later and no negative reports. So good job to our staff. They enjoyed it. It seemed like everything went together real well, and to the Milliken Events Committee for putting it on so quickly.
Good job.
Had a great conversation yesterday, about an hour and 15 minutes, if I might speak about it, Trustee Wakeman, with the RE5J school. What is Jeff Chamberlain actually?
He's the owner's rep for the school district.
Okay. And a Chad Novak, which is their architectural firm that's working, or an architectural firm. They're looking for sites for a potential high school. They have a couple of areas in Johnstown that they're looking at, and one that they're looking at in Milliken. The other parties had, well, Leslie Arnold was on phone. I was by phone since I was with my dad in the hospital. They had a lot of great suggestions as to what they're looking for on property. I like our site. The one site they're looking at in Johnstown is got a lot of oil and gas. Another site is kind of in a subdivisional area already. And the site they're looking at here in Milliken is a blank slate. It's down Inez, between Inez and County Road 21. It's also the same area that they're looking at potentially putting in a middle school. They've found a 37-acre parcel that Live Holdings last year was willing to donate to them for the middle school. But they're also looking at an 80-acre parcel for the high school. We're trying to convince them, having this campus-type atmosphere with the short distances between the two schools, they could potentially utilize each other's fields, get more bang for your buck, if you will. We also talked to them about the fact that Milliken is growing faster than Johnstown on the Weld County side. These are our taxpayer dollars. Milliken's preceded what Johnstown's done as far as building permits. I think in the last few years on the Weld County side, most of their development is in Larimer County. Milliken deserves to have something this great. So I'm hoping that this is a decision they make. Unfortunately, they don't have the land yet. One parcel they're looking at in Johnstown is donated land. So I know the cost of property is pretty expensive, but I still think this is more favorable, especially since there's no development around it. They can pretty much do what they like, and then development will come afterward. Our RO plant, still having a little bit of issues. The under drains came in, some of the holes that they had cut were in the wrong place, bolt holes. So that had to be remedied. And then there was another leak. And Don could probably speak of this better than I can. It's the under drain.
Yeah, there are two plates in the under drain that come together, and in the center, there aren't enough mounting holes. So when they bolted it down, it buckled up. So they put some different gasket in, some sealant. It should be bolted in and curing tonight. We're hoping to put in carbon tomorrow and hoping to have it running by this weekend.
So hopefully, even though kind of our big watering season has passed us during this dry year, that we'll have it up and running. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that it continues to do so. They received and replaced the a blower that had failed out at the wastewater treatment plant. So that's functioning now at the capacity it's supposed to. Our streets department has continued to do alley grading and reconstruction. They will be hopefully completing the B Hill drainage issue week of the 17th. Mad Russian drainage as well, and County Road 52 drainage and ditch cleaning. And then they're going to start on asphalt patching at the end of the month. Also, the issue with waste management is being remedied. They're going to come out into a test area. We're kind of like the middleman right now. A1 Chip Seal is working directly with the adjuster with waste management. So that'll be happening here in this week. Keith Staggs, probably feeling a little bad right now. He's without his seasonals. They're all done for the year. But they're gonna take out some of the dead pine trees here at Town Hall. And replace them, grade and mow the east side, and east end of the open space out at South Park. Get that taken care of, and continue with the weeds, which seem to grow even though there's no rain. So, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have one item, I believe, on the consent agenda. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
Holly, were you making a comment? Oh,
Second.
okay. Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
trustee Grandquist,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Trailer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin,
Yes,
motion passed.
thank you. We have nothing on the action agenda, so we're going to go to a discussion agenda, very interesting one. Finance Director Wade Nickerson is going to talk about some excess residential water usage.
Good evening. So this is just kind of a discussion item that we wanted to bring up. Currently, we have in our code section 13-2-470 that speaks to the maximum allowed usage, water usage on a residential property. So we've been doing a little research on it. And what we need to be doing is we need to be notifying our residents when they exceed this 170,000 gallons of usage every year. After running some reports and pulling some numbers together, we have about 125 units that have exceeded this amount. And I'm looking right now, we're looking at 2019 information. We'll hopefully get a little quicker on that, going forward, reviewing it. But what we intend to do is to notify the residents of this. What happens is if they use that excess usage 3 out of 5 years, then they have to bring additional shares of water and they have to upsize their tap and all their meter and all these things. And so what we're hoping to do is if we can notify them, let them know that they're using it, hopefully we'll get a lot of compliance just with the knowledge that we can help them gain. Like I said, we had 125 that we're going to, my intent is to send out here pretty quickly. We're working with our software people to get a report that will help us pull the information in and put it in a format that we can stick in the mail to each residence. This is just residential. I want to throw that out. This does not affect any of our commercial accounts. It is just residential. What I a couple of just little interesting facts on it is these 125,000, the excess usage that they had was just under, no, I'll say just over 4.9 million gallons. Okay, let's put that in different perspectives. That's about 15 acre feet of water that 125 users used above what they're actually allocated. So staff feels that this is a pretty important step to get these people notified. And then at some point in the future, we may have to, actually enforce this rule somehow, ask them to bring more water or something. That's not an issue that I feel we need to discuss tonight necessarily. But what I'm just looking for is kind of a head nod that we need to go ahead and pursue this. This has been in the code since 2013, and I don't believe that it's necessarily been addressed directly. And I think a letter to a resident is going to be pretty direct. And I just, we just want to make sure that's where the board feels we need to go. Water's a huge issue with Milliken, and I think that we're losing the battle on a few of these residences.
Did we look at any of those houses like on Google Earth or anything like that, or go kind of drive by and see, do they have like super green, lush lawns and big swimming pools? And how on earth would they be using so much water, I guess is my question.
I think some of them are some of the bigger lots in town. I think a lot of them do have nice yards and pools. I don't know. I didn't Google Earth all of them. I did some that were maybe in a more unusual area of town where I wouldn't have expected that type of usage.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say, I kind of threw out those numbers, some of them are using 171,000 gallons of water. So they're only over by a smidge. What we have to look at is the idea that probably the bulk of that's outside watering. I mean, if you have a really large family, yeah, you could get there, but what's really affecting this usage is outside irrigation, or maybe there are some pools around. I think what we'll probably see, and that's just a prediction, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think we'll see this number go up when we look at the 2020 usage numbers, because it's a dry year. Lots of people were home. I don't know if anyone tried to buy a pool this year, but you can't find them. People bought pools and filled them. So I think the 2019 is our base number. I think we'll probably see that go up next for the 2020 numbers, because there will be a lot more pools.
I have a question.
Yeah, I think
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Can I ask a question, or were you guys asking? Is it okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Wade, how soon do you notify them? Like, you only have this much left, or you've gone over this month? Like, how are you gonna notify them? And can you do it in a text also, or would that be too crazy?
Okay, so it's based on annual usage. So what I would like to do is get them notified that they went over in 2019. Then we'll look at the numbers early in 2020. In 2021, we'll look at the numbers for 2020 earlier in the year so we can get them notified sooner. But yeah, text message, we don't have phone numbers for a lot of people. And if they are, they maybe, with the way people turn over phone numbers and cell phones, text messaging is probably a stretch. Most of our requirements need us, when it comes to utilities, you have to send letters. A lot of them have to be certified letters even. I don't think this gets to that point, but I think that we probably need a paper trail showing that, hey, yeah, not that it's required, we're not required to notify them, but I think it's just better practice to have the documentation down that we notified you the first year, and then we notified you the second year, then we notified you the third year. I think that's just a better practice to do it that way versus trying to make a phone call or a text or something like that.
I think part of the problem is most people, it's education. I don't think most people realize they only have 170,000 gallons to use in a year, which sounds like a lot. But if you have a big lot, I mean, for example, take Wildcat Acres. Those are 1.5 acre lots, 5/8 inch tap, 5/8 inch meter rather. You could easily do that, but I think people do not know. And so we need to do that as well. We need to let everyone know that with your 5/8 inch water tap, water meter, you have 170 acres, 170,000 gallons rather of water to use annually. So it's education on our part to the public as well.
I think having the 170,000, that is informational to go out
Yeah.
even on an annual basis, just a reminder.
Mhm.
Kind of like that other letter that comes with the water bill,
The newsletter.
the newsletter.
And
Yeah.
that's what we want to do is I kind of want to get some general information out, but then also notify the people that have already they've already went over that limit last year. But I think it is both. I think we need to let them know and then just educate everyone.
This is a calendar year, correct?
Yeah.
So I think the other thing would be helpful is if there's a way to modify the actual water bill, or like it shows your usage compared to last year at the same month. That's helpful, but even if there was just a bar graph or a percentage of your annual, you've used up 60% of your annual maximum or something like that, might be a helpful piece of information to add on to the actual bill every month.
Yeah, I'll look into that too. That's a good idea.
As far as notifying people right now, I understand how important our water is, but right now I feel that a lot of our citizens are going through a lot financially. And I think if they receive a letter in the mail telling them they could potentially owe right now due to being overage, I think it may set somebody off the edge. I mean,
It's 3 out of 5 years.
Okay.
So this is just 1 year.
I get that, but I'm just saying from a citizen's perspective, if I get a letter in the mail that says I could potentially owe 3 out of 5 years, I get that. But a lot of people are on soft ground right now financially. And I think if I got a letter, I would not be happy.
So Nicole, would you say that a letter that stated that these are the guidelines and prior years, or, is this the first, this is not your third strike, this is, if at most a first strike or something like that?
I would say something that if we notify the citizens that this is something we haven't pursued in the past,
Right.
we're looking at pursuing it now, and come 2021, we're going to start focusing on it, because right now people are going through a tough time and the last thing they need is somebody to throw something else at them. So that is just my opinion.
Yeah, if the board would like to delay it, so to speak, look and maybe not educate first. We'll educate now. We'll educate through the end of the year, and then we can put something together based on our 2020 usage, early 2021, so that they have time before watering season to react to it. That type of thing. I'm okay with that. Like I said, I'm looking for some guidance from you.
I know that a lot of people, when they got their water bill this month, they were really surprised. And I do think we need some education. So I think sending out a general letter that, a lot of people noticed the dollar amount of their water bill, but not one person posted about how many gallons they were using. And that's the first thing I look at on my water bill is, okay, how many gallons did I use?
Right.
I think an educational blurb about how many gallons you use in the month, and the tiered rate, again, just kind of reinforcing that.
Yeah.
If we can do hey, you've used this much to date out of 170,000 gallons that you're allotted, that kind of awareness thing might help them out. But I drove down the street about the next morning, and almost every other house that was watering, there's water running off the sidewalk. I'm like, there's the reason your bill is so high. It's running down the street.
It's part of our augmentation plan.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
I would add to that, though, I think it might actually do more benefit to be a third sheet, because I'm wondering how many people actually see the newsletter, oh, here's my water bill, you know, if they're used to chucking the newsletter, they might
Yeah.
not see the information. So making it a third sheet will be significant.
Put it on yellow paper and then also put it on social media. Hey,
Okay.
look at your water bill.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. We'll work on the education
On
piece
Facebook and website.
and keep it off the normal newsletter.
Somebody's
So-
using too much water down there.
No,
okay.
it wasn't us.
And so for those of us who get our bills online, how would we be informed?
Social media, the city's website.
What if you don't do Facebook?
Website.
Yeah.
Did you do an email?
We'll go door to door.
Could you also send out an email?
We don't have people's email.
We don't, yeah, and so we don't have email addresses.
So do we have anybody saying, there's no way I use that much water? Because that's what I think people usually think.
Normally I can't believe my bill is that high.
Yeah.
There's no way I use that much water. No. Look at your gallons. Your gallons are the same as they were last year. The rates did go up some, but our normal is there's no way I use that much water. And we've done several, we do rechecks when it does look abnormal. But there's been a lot of water usage this year, a lot of water usage.
My grass is not as green as my neighbor's, and I can live with that because my water bill's lower.
Okay.
Just saying.
If that's all, I'll get out of your hair.
Thank
you, Wade.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
bringing
you.
it to our attention.
Okay, next on the agenda is the discussion of the pool transfer. Matthew Gould, Town Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this basically is an email that was sent to the interested parties regarding the pool transfer, reflecting some revisions to the contract that were made at their request. I haven't gotten any response to this email. It went out last week, I believe, but included is a copy of the revised set of documents. And I'll just highlight a couple of the changes that were made. There was some discussion about the beach area and the trail. The attorney for TRPR was not excited about the idea of letting the town retain that area, retain title to that area. He recommended an easement. So the way this is presently drafted, the town reserves a fairly broad easement over that portion of the property that would be donated. Title does pass to TRPR. The town has, in this draft, reserved the minerals if there are any remaining, which is in question. It appears that there were reservations years ago, and there may simply be no mineral rights, but we do have a reservation of the whatever minerals remain. The agreements, another issue that came up in talking about this with staff was whether or not there should be a water dedication. And in essence, I think staff agreed that a water dedication should not be required based on current usage levels. And so there's a specific provision in this agreement that no water dedication. It's already using water and it has for a long time. And the best that we could tell is that any water dedication in the past was waived because it was a town property. So this draft does not require a water dedication. Let's see here. We did clarify responsibility in the future for water and utility payments, which would become the responsibility of the buyer. That should go without saying, so I don't think it was controversial, and it's in this draft. There were a few changes to the release that Lot Holding requested, and basically the way this was explained is that they're trying to ensure that this entire transaction and the associated releases essentially unwind the original lease to Lot Holding and don't go further. I've reviewed those. I still have a few questions I'm trying to clarify, but I did not find those objectionable, and they are in this draft. And then another request made by Lot Holding was some language that ensures that the releases are not effective until they have all been tendered. That's not a problem to me. So I'm happy to answer any questions. This almost has to be presented to the board in 2 weeks for final approval because of the ballot deadline. The alternative to that would be to consider simply a separate election, and I have not talked to Cheryl about that. So that's what we're shooting for. The only thing that I did not accomplish here, which I wish I had, is that the title review will happen after this is approved. So at this point, we really can't get that done before it goes on the ballot, and just have to live with that fact right now. But I think we can get the rest of it done, assuming all the parties agree. So I'm happy to answer any questions. There you go.
Okay, opening it up for questions, starting trustee Granquist.
So I'm still trying to understand their comment about not wanting to let us retain ownership of the beaches and access to the pond there.
So what I should have included is a drawing, but I don't believe there's a drawing in this packet. It's actually a portion of the beach. The property line cuts across a portion of the beach, part of the, and it cuts, it's from east to west, so it's an awkward location for that line. But TRPR, for whatever reason, they indicated they would prefer to simply grant an easement. And so I did my best to draft a fairly broad easement for recreation purposes, for beach use, and for access and pedestrian and bicycle traffic. I think that's all in there.
They want to be able to launch the canoes and the kayaks and stuff like that from the beach. Essentially.
Just from their portion that crosses into their property, correct?
Well, they want the easement.
They want the whole thing all the way around the lake?
No, there are two parcels there, and this is just a part of the beach that's on the west side of the property. So the lake itself will be retained by the town.
Okay.
So
and one thing I need to highlight is, like I said, I got this out. It's dated. There's a date in the packet. I have not gotten responses, but we do need some indication from the other parties how quickly they can get this in front of their boards too. So I don't have approval for all these revisions. I'm just trying to keep moving on all fronts.
I guess, one of my questions is what the driving forces are behind them thinking they need to, them have ownership and us have easement versus us having ownership and them having easement. Like, what's the significance to them that they're pushing back on this issue?
I honestly don't know the answer. I certainly can inquire. One thing that I can tell you that came up in the process of reviewing the pool expansion is that deck extends very close to the trail. So if we draw the line, if we actually sever the property at the west edge of the trail, then they're going to have to get a waiver, a setback waiver or something. There's going to have to be some kind of agreement because that deck is very close to the trail, like just a few feet at most, inches maybe.
Currently, right now, TRPR largely for many years has maintained the beach area for the town. So
go ahead.
It saved our staff from having to do it. They've happily done it. They want to utilize it for recreation and maybe some additional programming.
Yeah, I think it would help to see any more because like the property lines on Weld County property portal don't represent, I think, what you're describing. So that's where I think there's some incongruencies between what's shown on Weld County property portal and their property lines versus either actual or whatever you're describing. Does that make sense?
So I've looked at two things. I've looked at the plat for, well, three things. The plat for the lake parcel, as well as the plat for the pool parcel. And I've also looked at the satellite drawing that's available through Weld County. That's what I've got to go on. I don't believe that the plats reflect the edge of the lake or the borders of the beach. So I am relying somewhat on that satellite image. That's true. And what I've described is what I'm seeing in that satellite image.
I had a question. I couldn't hear what Cheryl said, but just see if I got this right. So we would own the lake, they would own the trail, but who would own the green space between the lake and the trail? Like who takes care of that?
Most of that would be owned by TRPR, and the town would have a lease. I'm sorry, not a lease, would have an easement over that for recreational use. The contract does not specify maintenance, and that's something I need to talk to staff about what current maintenance is, because those provisions probably should be added. And specifically maintenance of the trail. I believe the town maintains the trail right now.
Yeah, because sometimes there's big trees around the trail, and we've had broken branches go on the trail. So then it's like, well, who takes care of that?
I will address that issue.
Okay, Trustee Smith, do you have any comments or questions?
I just want to ensure that the townspeople can get through around the lake without any impedance through their property. That's all my concern is. And if they do take care of the beach area, like you say, Cheryl, I don't see it as a big issue.
Mayor Pro Tem Earl?
I don't have any questions.
Trustee Wakeman?
I'm still struggling with the town giving up assets, and somebody's got to convince me. I'm a little concerned about some of the ambiguity here, that we aren't real positive about what we're talking about, what we're doing, but also generally, I've got to be convinced that giving up assets for the town is a good thing. And I'm not right now.
And Trustee Rodriguez?
I have no questions or comments.
Holly, do you have any further questions? Or Trustee Traylor?
No, I did send an email to Matt about if they wanted to change the name of the pool, because Peggy had asked me, we had talked about that too. Because as of right now, it's the Milliken Waterworks pool. Would it be the TRPR pool, or what would they call it?
Well, I mean, once it belongs to them, they would have the right to call it what they want. So there's no specification in the agreement that they would retain that name. And I guess the only concern that I'd have if we put something in there is, okay, so we specify that in the contract and then we close. What if they change the name? Do we really want to revert the title to the town on that event? That's a board call, but it wouldn't be my inclination to build that in at all. Once they own it, they own it.
Any other final comments? Okay. Then the next item is on the informational agenda is the Western Equipment and Truck. Government Planahan, do you have any comments on that?
No, just an update on costs.
Thank you. Okay, we also included the Colony Point Development Agreement. That came up as a question in our last meeting, what the development agreement actually says. So it was provided for you in this packet. Any questions? Okay. Hearing none. The police report is a written report, so we are down to an executive session. The next item on the board's agenda is an executive session pursuant to section 24-6-402, subsection 4F of the Colorado Revised Statutes for the purpose of considering a personnel matter related to the town administrator and particularly the scope of the investigation authorized by Resolution 20-17. This time I'll entertain a motion.
Move that we enter an executive session pursuant to Section 24-6-4024F of the Colorado Revised Statute for the purpose of considering a personnel matter related to the town administrator and particularly scope of the investigation authorized by Resolution 20-17.
Second.
I have a question regarding who's involved in the executive session. Is it just the board? Board and any staff?
I would recommend the board, the town attorney, Mr. Singlewold and his attorney are here. And I think that would, and that would be it.
Any other questions? Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote. She seconded. Yeah.
Trustee Trailer,
Okay, we're voting again to go into executive session?
yes, voting to go into executive session.
Yes?
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Grandquist,
Yes.
trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes. Okay, we will convene for 5 minutes to clear the room and then go into our session.
Let me turn my collation.